Story 1 title, The Demon's Last Call. It was a typical Friday night in Ashwood, and I was home alone. The rain had started to pour, and the distant rumble of thunder echoed in the background as I lay on my bed, scrolling aimlessly through my phone. My parents were out for the evening, and I had the house to myself. At first, I was thrilled. Finally, some peace. Maybe I'd watch a movie or catch up on some games. But then something happened that I'll never forget. My phone rang, breaking the silence. It startled me because I wasn't expecting anyone to call, especially not at this hour. I glanced at the screen, frowning. The number was strange, just a random string of digits that didn't make any sense. I hesitated for a moment, but eventually answered. "Hello?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. There was nothing at first, just a faint crackling of static. I was about to hang up when I heard it, a barely audible whisper. "Help me." A chill ran down my spine. "Who is this?" I asked, my voice betraying my unease. The line was silent for a moment, then the static cleared, and I heard something that made my blood run cold. A distant, bone-chilling scream. I hung up quickly, my heart racing. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just a prank. Deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Before I could fully process what had happened, my phone rang again. This time, the number was even more unsettling, like it was written in some bizarre code. I didn't want to answer, but I couldn't help myself. "Who are you? What do you want?" I demanded, trying to sound more confident than I felt. The voice on the other end was distorted, inhuman, yet somehow familiar. "They're coming for you, Jack. They know you're alone." I froze. How did they know my name? Who were they? I hung up, my hands shaking uncontrollably. Panic started to set in as I realized I was truly alone, with no one to help me. I rushed to lock all the doors and windows, the sound of the storm outside growing louder, matching the pounding of my heart. The calls kept coming. Each time the voice was clearer, more menacing. It began revealing things about me, things no one else should know, secrets I'd never told anyone. It was like this voice had access to my very thoughts. It taunted me, claimed it was watching me, and soon I began to hear footsteps outside the house, slow and deliberate. I tried calling the police, my hands fumbling with the phone, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. But when the operator answered, I nearly dropped the phone. It was the same eerie voice from the calls. "It's too late, Jack." The power went out then, plunging the house into total darkness. I stood there, frozen, clutching my phone like a lifeline, the only source of light in the oppressive blackness. My phone buzzed one last time. With trembling hands, I looked at the screen. A final message appeared. "I'm here." The phone slipped from my grasp and hit the floor with a dull thud. The front door creaked open. I could hear the hinges groan, the door slowly swinging wide, and I knew whatever had been taunting me was no longer just a voice on the phone. It was real, and it was here. I didn't want to turn around, but I couldn't help myself. As I slowly turned, I caught sight of the phone on the floor, the screen still glowing faintly. My reflection stared back at me, wide-eyed and terrified. The last thing I saw was the screen flickering, the glow fading to black, just as something cold and unseen brushed against my skin. Story 2. Idol, the demon in the mirror. I never believed in the supernatural. Ghosts, demons, and all that stuff were just myths to me, stories made to scare children. But everything changed one night, in a way I could never forget. It started when I moved into a new apartment, cozy little place on the outskirts of town. The rent was cheap, and the view of the city was beautiful, especially at night when the lights sparkled like 1,000 stars. But something about the apartment felt off. The moment I stepped inside, I felt an eerie chill. Someone was watching me. I brushed it off as nerves. Moving to a new place is always stressful, right? First few nights were uneventful. I spent my time unpacking, getting used to the new surroundings, and trying to make the place feel like home. But every night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. It was subtle at first, just a slight unease that I couldn't explain. Then, strange things began to happen. It started with small, almost insignificant things. I'd leave a light on and come back to find it off. My keys would be in a different spot from where I left them. I thought I was just being forgetful. Deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Then came the noises. Soft, almost imperceptible at first. Creaking of the floorboards, The faint sound of whispering in the dead of night. I'd get up to check, only to find nothing. Every time, the feeling of being watched grew stronger and more oppressive. One night, as I was brushing my teeth, I noticed something strange in the bathroom mirror. A shadow just at the edge of my vision. I turned around, but there was nothing there. I laughed it off, but when I looked back in the mirror, my blood ran cold. There, behind me, was a figure. A tall, dark silhouette with glowing red eyes, staring directly at me. I spun around, heart pounding in my chest. The room was empty. My hands shook as I gripped the sink, trying to convince myself that it was just my imagination. But when I looked back at the mirror, the figure was gone. Yet the sense of dread remained, creeping into my very soul. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that figure, felt those eyes burning into me. I started leaving the lights on, every single one, but it didn't help. The figure in the mirror became a nightly occurrence. Wouldn't move, wouldn't speak, just stood there, watching. But I could feel its anger, hunger. I tried everything to get rid of it, prayers, rituals, even smashing the mirror. But nothing worked. The figure always came back, more furious each time. It began appearing in other mirrors too, in the hallway, in the bedroom, even in the reflection of the TV screen. It was relentless. One night I decided I'd had enough. I was going to face it, whatever it was. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, my hands trembling, my resolve firm. I called out to it, demanded it show itself. For a moment, nothing happened. But then, slowly, the figure emerged from the shadows, more solid than ever before. This time, it wasn't just a silhouette. I could see its features. Pale, decayed skin stretched over sharp bones, eyes burning with an unnatural fire. Its mouth twisted into a sinister grin, revealing rows of sharp, blackened teeth. I wanted to run, to scream, but I was frozen in place, trapped by its gaze. The demon leaned in closer, its breath hot and rancid on my skin. "You invited me," hissed, its voice a low, guttural growl that sent chills down my spine. "You let me in, and now, you're mine." I fled that apartment, never looking back. I told myself I was done with that place, that I'd leave it behind and start fresh somewhere new. But no matter where I go, I can still feel it. Watching, waiting, in every reflective surface, in every darkened corner. It's there. And I know, deep down, that it's just a matter of time before it finds me again. And when it does, I won't be able to escape.